Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Silent Hill podcast. As promised about a week or so ago, this is a whole new series that I'm going to share with everyone here. This time, talking about the world of Silent Hill, all the games, all the movies. Eventually, I'll cover everything, all the monsters, all the encounters, the symbolisms, what the franchise essentially holds for the future, all that good stuff, because this world is great. And with regards to starting everything off, why not do so with the very first creature within all of Silent Hill? And what I'm talking about is the Gray Child, which was in the first game released back in, I think it was 1999, and this was the very first creature encountered by us as fans of the game and as fans of Silent Hill within the game itself. So, kind of like with my bloop video, which started everything off for the cryptids and monsters, what better way to do so here than with the very first creature encounter? And what a way to make an introduction when it comes to the Gray Child. Anybody who's played the game, and again in my case, I'm discovering this through YouTube videos, all those great walkthroughs that people post on YouTube. It's pretty much like watching the movie itself come alive as a game. And with regards to the creature, when you first encounter it, it pretty much sets the stage for everything else thereafter within the great world of Silent Hill. And obviously, as you'll see a picture of here, the Gray Child is pretty unique. I mean, it's a creature, and the reason why it's called the Gray Child is because it's a childlike creature, about the size of a child, with the characteristics and actions of a child. Now, this particular creature, it's supposed to represent essentially what Alessa, who is either the protagonist or antagonist within the game, all depending on, I guess, the certain points within the Silent Hill franchise. But it's supposed to represent all of the classmates that Alessa ran into, those that picked on her before the events of Silent Hill occurred. And it's basically them now as these Gray Child as a form of retribution, as a form of revenge. And you can see it in the game. That's what's so great about Silent Hill is, and why I'm covering this within this new series, is so many of the monsters, so many of the people, so many of the locations, so many of the storylines, they all have great fantastic symbolisms tied to them. And in this case, the Gray Child, with it representing the children, again, you can see it because of its childlike stature. And when it reaches the main protagonist within Silent Hill, Harry, it's about the size of a child. And when it approaches Harry specifically, it almost starts acting like a child itself. It starts reaching out towards him like a child would, almost in a stumbly like way. And then when it starts grasping at Harry, it does so much like a child would who's scared, or somebody who's trying to get some kind of attention or affection, almost like in the way of children who try to cling on to someone's legs, like a parent's legs, as if they're trying to shield themselves from something. But in the case of this Gray Child, if but for the fact it happens to carry a knife, then then it would not be so harmful. But of course, with that knife, it is, and that's essentially what happens with the Gray Child when you, as a player, encounter it. It tries to walk up towards you, tries to embrace you, and at the same time, in a malevolent way, it starts almost slashing at you with that knife. And the only way to really keep it from doing so is to either shoot it from long range, or if you happen to have one of those pipes, use that, and then try to make sure that with enough hits, the Gray Child is stopped. Now, the movie Gray Child actually took things a step further. The Silent Hill film, the first one, they too were also the first beings encountered within the film itself. So a great nod to the Silent Hill franchise. What better way to make that tip and nod than to actually showcase that, if in the Silent Hill game those are the first creatures encountered, why not do so as well within the Silent Hill film? And they also act just like the game characters themselves, the film ones do. They try to reach out and grab Rose, the main character, and they do so because they're trying to either hold on to her or try to get that thing where they just want affection, some kind of parent-like figure to hold on to. But the movie takes it a step further because, unlike in the game, the characters within the film, the gray children, they're actually burning from the inside. And this is because it seems like Alessa, again, also within the film, she decided to take a form of retribution to another level, where in her case, where she was immolated and basically set on fire and burned alive just for a brief couple of moments. In this case, she makes these gray children burn alive forever from the inside. And that's why maybe that they're reaching out to Rose, because they're trying to make sure that, hey, this hurts us, there's this pain, can you make it stop? And without realizing it, if they reach out to Rose and they hold on to her, they're going to essentially burn her alive too. So when one thinks about it, let's say if Rose was not able to escape at that last moment with the fog world coming up, or the other world coming up, then if they didn't make it in time, if that didn't happen in time, then they swarmed Rose, then technically she could have been cooked alive right then and there. So it goes to show the freakiness tied to these great childs. Another interesting to note, at least when it comes to trivia, with these great children, they are only available as is, like as seen on the walkthroughs and as seen by those of us that played here in the US, only here in the United States. And other releases in Europe and then in Japan, all those European and Japanese versions, they were replaced by another creature that you'll see here called the Mumbler. And the reason for this is because the Grey Child was far too reminiscent, apparently, for a child. When it came to the European and Japanese censors, they didn't like the idea that this thing resembled so much a child that when you as a player were essentially killing it by gunshots to the head, or in some cases clubbing it to death with one of those long pipes, that it's too much close to a child. And so they switched it with the Mumblers, who, as you can see, they're a more looser variation of the Grey Child, but they take away a lot of the characteristics of the child. And also when it comes to these Grey Childs, within the film, at least they kept the same aspect from before, because of course that's a film, rated R, so that's a whole different version than anything involving the game. One other last thing about the symbolism tied to the Grey Child, if you look as a close-up picture of their face, you'll notice that their eyes are gone. Instead, it's replaced by some kind of slits of some sort, almost like a visor-like slit, and the only thing that they could do is just talk incoherently by their open mouth. Well, another form of symbolism is the fact that with their eyes gone, it's almost like a thing of like an eye for an eye when it came to Alessa's revenge, her retribution towards these children. So if she was going to be burned, or if she was going to be harmed in some way, then she was going to make sure, like as an eye for an eye, whether symbolically, metaphorically, or actually in this case visually, then she would remove them, the ability for them to see, so that way they could never see, in some cases, any other parents or any other people that they could assimilate or try to cohabitate with it. So it's a weird form of revenge in her case. So the Grey Childs, what do you guys think? The very first creatures encountered within Silent Hill. What a way again to start off the whole franchise. I mean, when I was watching it in the walkthrough, and then you see these things just these things create this weird sound, this almost like childlike mumbling of some sort. And then when that walkthrough turned around and you see this thing slowly like staggering towards you, how creepy is that? And then the way the film did it, my God, that film nailed it. Whenever you see the eyes, those yellow eyes come out of nowhere and start peering up, and then the face contorts and twists towards the right. That was very, very creepy. Great stuff. Alright everybody, so that's the first video here. I'm going to talk about other monsters within the first Silent Hill game later on, and then talk about the Silent Hill game itself overall. And that's basically the theme. That's what I'm going to do with regards to these videos. And then any news maybe in the world of Silent Hill, if there's enough demand, then I'll start talking about that too. So alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.